Zenondaney, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. I've talked about this in the past, that there's a lot of these shows that end really well, but I still want there to be some final conclusion. Now, before we actually get into this, I do want to say I'm sorry that this isn't the Miraculous video. The Lies plot is going to be coming out later today at noon, so be prepared for that. But anyways, guys, let's talk about what I'm talking about here. There need to be future seasons for a lot of shows. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, but these shows are over, this, that, and the other thing. Recently, I've been watching a lot of the older shows that I grew up on, and realizing that there really should have been a future series. Not necessarily too far into the future, but basically to show what exactly has happened since they finished off their mission. Technically, things like this have happened with certain shows, such as with Avatar, they got Korra, which is not what I wanted. Let me make that clear. Korra is not a good example of this. But what is a good example is actually the last few moments of Kipo and the Wonder Beasts. In this series, they have one episode, and I don't even think it's a full episode, where it's basically just devoted to showing what has happened in the past few years and showing that Kipo and her friends have grown up and have gone on with their lives, and more than likely will continue to go on with their lives for many years to come. It's honestly a sweet moment, and honestly, I look forward to seeing how things are going to go forward with them, even though the show is over. But lots of other shows kind of deserve something like that. Like I mentioned before, Avatar is actually one of these. Basically, what I would want to see is a single season that focuses on Aang and Katara, and basically before Sokka dies and before Suki dies, basically before any of the main cast have died, and as them, basically them as adults, where we get to see how their lives went out. See Sokka being an uncle to little Boomy and I forget the others. I'm sorry, but yeah, basically focusing on those points in their lives and still showing how Aang continued his work as the Avatar, how Zuko continued his work as the Fire Lord, and basically how things went to get Republic City to the point that it is in Korra. Things like that would have been really interesting. We don't need something for like that for Korra, because Korra was just. I'm sorry, I didn't like Korra. I know that some people are gonna get pissed off at me for saying that, but I really did not. So yeah. But other shows also kind of deserve this. Shows like Danny Phantom, which actually may be getting this treatment very soon. I haven't actually been keeping up with Butch Hartman's plans for this, but a few years ago he was planning. I know that he was planning to make Danny Phantom 10 years later, which would focus on Danny Phantom as an adult and working through all of these different situations as an adult now. And basically, we would get to see how his life turned out and how he became the best ghost hunter and continued to make sure that a lot of these people would be safe. And maybe we get to see his kid discovering their new powers, and he has to train them to help them understand that their ghost powers are a gift and how to use them properly. And also, what actually I think would be even more interesting is if it's a show about his kid going to school for the first time, and we get to see how that kid deals with the fact that his or her father is a freaking celebrity, the best ghost hunter in the world who saved the world from a frickin' asteroid. It would be insane. And actually, that's an important factor. For almost all of these concepts that I have in my brain, they should not be shows focusing on the main characters, but rather focusing on their children or people that are highly connected to them. Like I said, Danny Phantom is definitely one of them. Avatar: The Last Airbender is less. I want to see how their kids are dealing with it, because we see that in Korra. But things like that with something like what I said for Danny Phantom, but maybe with American Dragon, or even though these shows haven't come to a conclusion yet, My Hero Academia and Miraculous. Getting to see how people react to these people, and how these kids have to deal with their powers as things are going forward. Honestly, I would absolutely love some of this stuff. It absolutely would be insane to see how these characters go about with their daily lives now. And even Steven Universe, I actually would like to see, like, not even a full episode, maybe a single episode, just 30 minutes, or something like that, where we get to see Steven and Connie as they go through their new life in their new location, to actually see that Steven has grown up and has at least had success with figuring out his emotions and what has happened in Steven Universe Future, to see that he has become an even more well-rounded person, and no longer is worried about things like the diamonds or any other galactic threats, or intergalactic threats, I guess. All of these factors play into what I want from these series. Series that conclude their stories. The thing is, we often get these shows where, and they lived happily ever after. These are the stories that we get. But what exactly does that mean, happily ever after? Like I said, Danny Phantom ends really well. It really does end well. Danny Phantom is a celebrity now. He's able to have the girl, and they go off and fly into the sunset, or, yeah. Frickin' Tucker is now the mayor, and honestly, just a ton of just crazy moments. But it's honestly a sweet conclusion. But it feels like there needs to be something there that basically wraps it up nicely with a bow, because we know that Danny will not live his life like any normal kid now. Now he's going to be an adult and has to deal with the fact that people are going to recognize him, because, let's be honest, that was all over the TV. Literally every single country worked together to fix the whole situation, and it's insanity, but it's honestly really cool to just think about all of the possibilities with that show going forward. And like I said, getting to see how his kid would handle it would actually be even more interesting, because your son, you are the son or daughter of the most important hero in the world. How do you deal with that? How do you live up to those expectations? It's an insane thought, and I would love to see that. And then, like I said, other shows also need that. American Dragon. Like I said, I don't really want there to be a full season for this, actually, for any of these shows. Basically, a wrap-up season. And for this, honestly, if it was just 13 episodes or something, I would be happy with that. To basically just have a few moments where we get to see Jake and Rose as they are living with their family, he's still being the American Dragon. Maybe he's training the next American Dragon, who has to deal with, who one of his or her main responsibilities is that they have to take care and babysit Jake's child, and who is also starting to gain their dragon powers. That idea really interests me. It may not even have to be the next American Dragon, but some dragon is getting their dragon powers and is about to become that area's dragon. That concept would be so interesting to me. On top of the fact that if the show actually gets to introduce the second and third most dangerous enemies of dragons, that would be awesome. And I mean, honestly, we only ever get to see the first and the fourth biggest threats to dragons, and none of the others. I mean, sure, there could be others that we don't know about and all of this jazz, but the fact that there are at least 10 huge threats, if we get to see how Jake and his apprentice, as well as his kid, are going to deal with these problems, that would be amazing. And I think that a lot of fans would actually love to see that happen. Now, as for Miraculous and My Hero Academia, many people have actually discussed what they want to see for My Hero Academia. Basically, a show that focuses more on Eri, Koda, and the other kid, which I'm forgetting what his name is, from the second movie. Basically, their whole lives as they are going off to the Hero Academy. Basically, Deku is now a pro hero. He's done all of this stuff. Maybe he's thinking of retiring, so he's going into basically be a teacher at UA to teach the next generation. Maybe he's thinking about passing on the quirk. I mean, yes, we do know that Deku is supposed to be the last person with this quirk, because the fact that he was quirkless, and nowadays there aren't very many people who have who don't have quirks. And basically, Deku is going to have to start looking around to see if he can find someone who doesn't have a quirk. Because, honestly, the idea that nobody has the power of one for all for many years to come, it worries me a bit. I don't know. I think that there is actually the possibility that maybe his kid is actually going to be the one who is going to inherit One for All. And basically, at that point, the quirk just needs to be something that's passed on from generation to generation. And basically, all that happens is that it takes the other person's quirk and adds it onto this new quirk to make it an even better quirk. Making, honestly, One for All years in the future, if it does work like this, basically where it's passed down from generation to generation by the parents, the quirk becomes so insane over the years, and basically this kid is required to become the new hero each and every time, because if they don't actually decide to be a hero, then there's going to be problems. I don't know. And the thing is, as far as we know, none of the characters have had kids who have held the quirk. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, the fact that All Might doesn't have kids surprises me, but what you gonna do? Actually, no, that doesn't surprise me, actually, because Japan is kind of a weird situation. We're not going to talk about that right now. But honestly, that would be insane to just think about. Maybe Deku's kid is so young, but maybe they're still involved with the whole school system. Maybe they're meeting up just a little bit with Eri and Koda and basically they're hanging out with them because they are practically Deku's kids to a certain degree. They learn so much from Deku, and he is their hero, and as such, Deku's kid starts to kind of get connected with them. I don't know. There's a lot to it, and honestly, I would also love to see something where, in actuality, Eri ends up being adopted by Deku and Uraraka. I know that's kind of insane thought, but it wouldn't be that bad, I think. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But yeah. Um and as for Miraculous, there have been some thoughts on it. Basically, we've seen little moments where we get to see Marinette and Adrien come back come back to the past with their kids. Obviously, the three kids that Marinette specifically lists off, because let's be honest, that's probably what they're probably gonna have those three kids. Like, who doesn't expect that? But basically, we get to see that situation and to see Marinette and Adrien as adults, and now they're trying to decide, okay, who's going to be taking up the mantle? Because Marinette won't be able to remain as guardian for forever, and using the Miraculouses, well, it's going to take a strain on you for doing it for years and years. Many people have actually talked about the fact that when Marinette eventually gets pregnant, should she be Ladybug during that time? Who knows? Same thing goes for other characters, but to less of a degree, because the main story is obviously about Marinette and Adrien. All of these factors lead into the big questions. And honestly, I would love to see all of these shows get these final conclusions. They don't, like I said, they don't have to be full-on series that continue for years and years without any end. Because honestly, we all know that if a show like that continues for years and years, eventually someone is going to dry out. I mean, come on. We all know how Pokemon's going. Seriously. Can I, really quick, I just want to say, end Pokemon. End Pokemon with this. Honestly, I think that what we need for Pokemon is actually something like this. Yes, having Journeys be the last series that is going to be focusing on Ash would be a fantastic idea. But on top of that, I think that the series needs to go in a new direction. And the best way I think that they can do that, to have Ash no longer being, well, the main protagonist. Instead, having a future series and having that be the takeover. I'm not 100% certain exactly what we would want to see with this, but I would like to see a future series that focuses on Ash, and we could finally get to see which of the girls that he eventually gets together with. I mean, sure, a lot of fans are going to get really upset, especially the shippers for Ash and Misty, or Ash and May, or Ash and Dawn, or... Does anyone actually ship Ash with Iris? I don't think they do, but even those people, I mean, honestly, I still really think that it's going to be Ash and Serena. Also, apparently there are people who ship Ash with the characters in Sun and Moon. I can't see that. I'm sorry. The Sun and Moon series was so bad, I can't imagine them actually taking that direction. I'm sorry. But yeah, getting Ash with either with whoever they actually are intending him to go with, which, let's be honest, the way that it's looking like they actually wanted him to go with Serena. Having that conclusion would be fantastic. We've been talking about this for years, that there needs to be a final season. A season where Ash is no longer going to be the main protagonist. And having a future episode would make a lot of sense. To have Ash settle down with Serena or whoever else they want to decide to have him settle down with, that would be great. And then maybe we'll go back in time and it will focus on Go or someone else. I don't know. I honestly doubt that it's going to be Go, because of the situation with him is just a weird situation right now. So I don't think that it's going to be Go. But maybe someone else. Having it focus on maybe someone who's a bit better of a trainer. Like I said, Go might actually be a good option, but considering the fact that Journeys, they travel all around the world, I honestly can't imagine them doing anything with Go after this. But what I do see happening is a game for Pokemon, and we'll talk about that in a future video, but I don't know when. So, honestly, that's all I have to say for now. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think of all of these different series down in the comments below. I know that you guys will probably enjoy these series as much as I will, and I want to know what you guys would actually plan. Seriously, if you guys have any thoughts or theories, please leave them down in the comments below. And if you are going to leave a theory, make sure to say theory review somewhere in your comments so that we can talk about it in a future video. And yeah, let me know what other shows that you would want to see this treatment go to. I listed off these and there are more, but seriously, let me know what you guys want to see, because maybe we'll talk about it in a future video. And of course, if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell. And even if you're not new, but you just haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and ring that notification bell, because it helps a lot more than you may think. And of course, definitely make sure to head down to the description below if you do want to support the channel even more, and check out all of our links down there, including our other 2 channels, our social medias, and ways that you can support us financially, including our Patreon, which a big thank you to our current patron, Sheeny, our merch store, and of course, the book. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!